Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Middlesex County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund for May 10th, 2022. Notice of this meeting was given by sending sufficient notice herewith to the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, and the Jersey Journal. Filing advance written notice of this meeting with the clerk and or administrator of each member and posting a copy of the meeting notice on the public bulletin board of all members. I direct the secretary to enter into the minutes of this meeting the advance written notice of this meeting and this statement. Can I get a roll call, please?
Michael Sika.
Here.
James Brady. Michael Capabianco.
Here.
Scott Olson. Jeanette Larison.
Here.
Paul Clark.
Here.
Harry Delgado.
Here.
Mike Drulis.
I'm substituting
Brandon Goldberg is substituting in for him.
Okay. Richard Generone. Glenn Cullen.
No.
Joseph Senga.
Here.
Ryan Michelson.
No, he's gone.
No, he's gone. I'm sorry. Mayor Heck. William Kurtz, Glenn Kurtz, Ed Testino,
Here.
Joseph Monzo. Donna Setzer,
Here.
James Gotay,
Here.
Sean Kelly, Dominic Sinelli, Robin Rassiopi,
Here.
Patty Fahey,
Here.
Amy Peroni, Robin Campbell,
Here.
Rich Duthie, Dave Grubb. I saw him here.
Yeah, he's here.
Joe Rubash, Rob Landolfi,
Here.
Diane Sherman,
Here.
that's it, Chair. You have a quorum?
Okay.
And Charlie Cradaville, I believe I let him chair.
Okay, great. Okay, so everyone was forwarded the finalized copy of the Adobe exam. So Glenn, you wanna...
Yeah, Chair. I got this is the final draft from DOBI with respects to their examination. Unfortunately, Mr. Wolf was out sick last week, so I wasn't able to get the final, so it still has draft on it, I believe. But these are the recommended adjustments to the JIF's financial statements based upon the review done by DOBI and their external auditors' exam resources. Joe, Mike, and myself, and unfortunately, Joe couldn't be with us. He's apparently in flight somewhere, coming back from Arizona. But we met with DOBI with respects to the proposed adjustments, went over them with them with respect to the changes they are requesting. In that regard, some of the proposed adjustments with respect to the assets and liabilities we came to an agreement upon. So the DOBI is recommending the proposed adjustments to the 2020 audit. Now, bear in mind, we did discuss with them because they're working off the statement of net position, which includes pension liabilities that the JIF has incurred. When we take this number and project it out to the overall deficit, which is the next step in this, we will be working off the net position on a GAAP basis. So these numbers will be adjusted, or the final number will be adjusted by almost $1.4 million in pension liabilities that the state will allow us not to include in this adjustment. So I don't know if anybody has any comments on this, or if you'd like to discuss it in more detail, let me know.
Glenn, do you want me to send questions to you directly?
Sure.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any comments or questions? Okay, Glenn, so I actually have a question. So how does this fare for our assessments going forward? So the additional assessments, you know,
Because we'll base the overall 2020 audit will be based off the adjusted balance. We will use that to then do the projections moving forward for the deficit reduction or deficit analysis. I have asked our actuary, and I'm working with the state with respects to the payment plan. The actuary is doing a cash flow analysis with respects to the payout of the open liabilities for the years in question. And she is working on that with Exam Resources, who did the review. So once I get the proposed cash flow projections moving forward, we'll be able to make a determination as to repayment plan. But DOBI wanted me to get this in front of you all with respects to the proposed adjustments and put a plan together moving forward to get the revised numbers and a repayment schedule together. So.
okay, and so this repayment schedule, when that's done, that'll be the repayment for this year for that schedule. And then what happens with the 2021 audit and review, and you know, what will be the time frame going forward for that?
Yeah, well, this is, you know, as we said, this is a floating number. This is the worst case, you know, based on as of the 12/31/2020 number. If as of 12/31/2021 it improves, you know, naturally it would be adjusted down based on the actuarial review. So this is a starting off point that would be modified yearly by the board. So.
Right. So my question is, because it becomes a budgetary thing. So we all understand the predicament that we were in for, you know, beginning last year, you know, floating into this year. So, you know, none of us really have that additional number that we're going to need to make that payment this year. So my concern is more about going forward, you know, for the audit, for the review, so that we have those numbers before the end of this year, so that going into our next year's budget process that, you know, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add?
So Glenn, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's going to be another $1 million assessment for 2020, which is still possibly lessened by what happens or increased by 2021.
This would be 12/31/2020 audit, but it would be over the payment period of 10 years, Mike. Yeah. And to be honest with you, Mike, most if you go through the details on the adjustment pages, most of these adjustments are over 10 years old, so it would affect fund years that were 10 years ago. I don't know if you got the chance to look through the detail of the state report, but like a lot of these adjustments on the supplemental assessment receivable and the excess insurance receivable were applied to fund years that were over 7 or 8 years ago. So.
Glenn, so is Paul. So so we may owe an additional assessment for 2021. When would we know that?
For 2021,
We already paid.
yeah, we already did the supplemental assessment for that, which was based on the actuarial figures.
Right. All right. So that number is not going to change.
No.
Okay.
Well,
Madam
can you
Chairperson,
change-
can I interject here for a second?
Please,
Okay.
sure.
Okay. First of all, this is as of the end of 2020. 2021 will prove to be a problematic year for everyone, not just this fund.
Mhm.
Jeanette, I know you attended the Mel meeting where we were talking about this. Because of various things that occurred in 2021, you can expect another substantial deficit, as all funds can expect a deficit from 2021, particularly because of the change in the pension offsets and, that kind of thing. So that's a real issue here. So your $28 million deficit may very well end up growing when you submit the numbers as of the end of 2021. And those numbers, incidentally, the audit report as of the end of 2021 is due under the regulations on June 30. So you're already going to probably be late on that one. All the other funds are already in the process of submitting and evaluating. And that's the reason why I know what's happening around the state. Second of all, the implication of these numbers. You were talking about additional assessments. The amount of the additional assessments are going to grow geometrically. What the department is going to do is it's going to come down and give you basically a payment plan to get that 28 or 30 million or whatnot paid. So, the $1 million, $2 million, it's going to be dramatically more than that.
Mhm.
And you've got another issue that is an issue that has to be addressed at some point, in that the way this fund is structured, all of your administrative costs are being borne by the current fund year. A lot of the administrative costs, however, that you're bearing today relate to the administration of claims and other kind of administrative expenses for a substantially larger fund. You have shrunk fairly significantly. And you, from what I'm hearing, you may shrink even further. And so the more you shrink, the more those administrative expenses are now bunched up on the current membership. That is not sustainable. So another issue that has to be addressed is what we call stranded costs. In other words, accounting for the administration of all these things that you're going to have to do to run out all these claims that have been accrued. Some of that cost ought to be assessed against the prior membership. And the way you do that is to build that into your annual accounting. So that $28 million is going to grow fairly significantly when you put into that number the stranded costs. But you have to do that because otherwise your fund will not be viable going forward. You cannot bunch up all of the expenses to administer all of these prior claims on to the current membership. Otherwise, the current membership is just going to go.
That's a good point, Dave. Thank you.
So really what you need to do is to sit down and really put together what is referred to as a rehabilitation plan. Listing all of these various different issues and what you have to do to keep the fund viable. And failing that, then what are your other alternatives? You are at a point now where really in the next few months, you've got to make some fundamental decisions. And they're not going to be easy. But just simply accepting the numbers in this report is not the end of the process. This is only the beginning of the process. And now, frankly, the difficult work begins. And again, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. This fund right now is fairly substantially bigger than our smallest fund. So, the fact that you may shrink does not per se mean that the fund goes out of existence, but you have to plan appropriately.
Mhm.
And if you want, I'll put down some ideas and, you send them to Glenn and you can circulate them around as to what you need to address in again, what is referred to as a rehabilitation plan. But if you don't do a rehabilitation plan, then I'm going to tell you, your fall is going to be very, very difficult.
I would appreciate if you could
Yeah,
do that. That would be helpful to all of us.
Well, Dave, I understand that, but we're up this year in Jamesburg, and due to this financial mismanagement, we're not looking to come back. And I don't think it's fair for any of the members either today who are looking to leave or the ones in the past to have to continue to float this poor fiscal management of this. When you sit there and I see that there's $1.47 million that was never received going back 22 years ago, it's not fair to us moving forward. And I understand the process of it to try to keep the fund afloat. But when I walk out this door, when the Borough of Jamesburg or anyone else walks out the door, and we have no say in how this fund is being operated, that is completely not fair to us. I think it should just be on the assessment side. And we can continue having this discussion, but any sort of rehabilitation plan has to start with the management of this, which is mismanaged. When I sit here and see that only $28,000 in payroll taxes was paid out of $155,000, that is asinine. That's the word I would use. This is purely fiscal mismanagement. And I don't want to be burdened by this moving forward for the next 10 years to try to help people come out of a fund that is going to lose more than likely 4 more members this year to go from 18 to 14. It's just not going to be cash feasible anymore. How does 14 members pay for all this stuff? And I think the number next year is going to be closer to 30, 32 million. And nothing changes on the administration side. So if you want to have tough discussions, I'll be the leader of that. But this is just, when I see this, this is infuriating that the state never stepped in, the commissioners never stepped in. We're losing $2 million in valuation. And we're going to pay for it again. And with the 2021 audit, while everyone's thinking we're not done, I have no doubt in my mind we're going to have another assessment coming. So for all these past towns, they're going to have to pay, because it's not fair to everyone moving backwards and moving forwards on this. I just don't see how this is going to be feasible in just much longer.
Yeah, you're raising some extremely good points, frankly, some extremely difficult points. What you're really confirming is what I was saying. You've got some very difficult decisions and very difficult discussions coming up. I mean, obviously, the first priority is to structure this thing in such a way that the claimants get paid.
Yes.
Okay, that's priority one. You cannot have police officers and firefighters not receiving their checks.
Absolutely.
Okay, now, the question is, can you put together however it looks, a rehabilitation plan that allows this fund to continue going forward? Or are you looking at putting together some sort of a merger plan? Or are you looking to put together some sort of a liquidation plan? But one way or another, some tough decisions have to be made, some tough discussions have to occur, and a plan has to be put together so that, again, at the end of the day, those claimants get paid. And that the process of the assessments or whatnot is as fair as it possibly can be. Recognizing there's an awful lot of difficulty associated with that, and which is what you were pointing out.
No, thank you.
Hey, Glenn, just Paul, just to go back to what David said, so I get it clear in my own head. So there's and also what Michael just said. So there's a chance you believe, or we believe that there's going to be additional money tacked on to the 2021 assessment. The number we had now may increase based on this.
Based upon
I would say, again, from what I know about what is going on in the state, and again, particularly because of the change in the pension offset rules and the workers' compensation, you can expect further difficulty from the 2021 fund year. But over and beyond that, you've got all of the problems associated with the fund years up to 2021. And that plus the stranded costs or whatnot. So there's an awful lot of money here that will have to be assessed one way or another.
Right. So I think the point that everyone needs to understand, and maybe I'm not clear on it, but the number that's being provided in this report as of 2020 is a fluid number. So that's not like, this is the number, and then we spread it out over 10 years. It's going to change each and every year based on the claims, based on whatever our liability is. So I'm less concerned about that. I'm more concerned about the timing of it, because that's the only way we're going to be able to make the proper decisions on what to do, is if we actually know what those numbers are every year. So
Exactly.
I don't know if that helps you, Paul, if that answers your question, but yeah, the number is going to change and to Dave's point, because of different things that are going on throughout the state. So these claims that are 8 and 9 and 10 years old, well, that's one issue. It's the more current ones that are going to be the bigger problem. If I'm misspeaking, Dave, please correct me, but.
Well, I don't know what's going to be the bigger problem. They're all huge problems.
Well,
I mean,
I get that point.
but really what I'm trying to say here is that we have a report. This is the beginning of a process. What now has to occur is, facing the difficult issues that this report and the other issues raise, that you've got only a relatively short time frame to deal with these things, because as I think Michael pointed out, you've got a number of members who are probably not going to be around January 1, 2023, which means you've got a shrinking fund. So you have to plan in terms of, okay, what happens then? Will this fund still be viable at that point? It may be, may not be, we don't know, but you've got a plan for how do you rehabilitate it so that if it has a chance of being viable, you can reach there. And if it doesn't, then what do you do? Because one way or another, you have got well over $30 million worth of claims and expenses that have to be covered, for which you don't have any assets covering them right now. And that's what you have to plan. And I tell you what, January 1, 2023, I mean, it sounds like a long way off. It isn't. But that's where you are.
Well,
Again, I'll throw together some ideas.
Recording stopped.
Yeah.
recording stop?
Recordings.
We
No.
lose-
Well,
we lose-
I know Dave and I disagree on this a little bit, but of that 28 million, 21 million is in IB&R. And I go by Title 59. You got to report a claim within 90 days.
Bill, IBNR is not just simply claims that have not been reported.
That's what it is. It
It
says that
is, Bill, it is not.
in the Report
Your
Claims
actu-
Act.
and your actuary is going to tell you that it is.
We lost Glenn. He
Lost
has to come
Glenn,
back.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It is also claim reserves that prove to be inadequate, claims that are reopened, so forth and so on. It isn't just simply the fact that a claim wasn't
well,
reported.
why do you have claims reserve? Plus IB&R.
Madam Chair, can I suggest that we wait until we get Glenn back? Because I think this needs to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And Glenn cut out, I think. Give him a phone buzz.
We may have to sign out and sign back in since he's the.
Yes, he's yeah.
Yeah, he's the main person. So, Bill, I don't know if you have a way of
Want
saying.
to participate via phone?
Yeah.
And we're gonna call him.
I got Glenn on the phone. He's going to try to sign back in and otherwise call in.
Ed, would he like us all to sign back in?
He should be able to sign in, yeah, he should be okay.
Yeah.
Try
Okay.
calling in, Glenn.
All right.
All right, bye.
Jeez.
guess the real question is who's going to admit him into the meeting if he was the person admitting people?
No, he's the host, so he should be able to
Okay.
pop in.
And then I guess then hopefully, even if he's calling by phone, how's he going to get the recording back on? I guess must be some command for that.
Yep. Yeah, he could just click the button and start it recording again. But I don't know if he's having internet problems, so.
Yeah, yeah.
He's trying to log in again.
Okay.
Bobble and Dolphy took over the meeting.
Oh, wait.
Something doesn't sound right. I don't see how he could have done that.
I'm not
Oh.
kidding. Right after I sent that text, then another pop-up said that Ed Testino took over.
Are we being,
No, I saw them both too.
Nobody
Bob
else
was
is seeing
clicking
those
now,
pop
Ed.
up?
no,
I saw it. Ed's in
did?
I
charge.
did see it. Thanks.
Maybe the American Society of Property Casualty Actuaries decided to hack the meeting.
Oh,
Hi, Joe. Yeah. Minutes. Anyway. Okay, yeah.
Glenn can't get on. He's still locked down there, but if you want to conduct, I got the speakerphone up to the computer,
okay.
so we can at least hear.
Let me hold it. Oh,
So
Yeah, going forward, we're gonna have to have
Glenn, you there?
additional hosts, I think.
Let me put this on speaker. Can you hear now, Glenn? Yeah. Okay.
Glenn's on here.
All right, before we move forward, can I just ask Ed, what are your thoughts on the ability to record the meeting?
But it's not required. Somebody has to take the minutes. If Glenn or Bill are taking the minutes. Can you take the minutes,
Yeah,
Glenn or Bill?
yep.
Okay.
Gee, are you able to hear all this? No.
Say something, Ed. So,
I'm locked up.
Can you hear us, Glenn?
Yeah.
Push them closer to the mic, Tom.
How about now?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I don't know where you cut out, Glenn, but your Bill and Dave were having a discussion about IBNR.
Okay.
I don't know if they want to continue that or you
Yeah.
want to go to the next
No.
item, Madam Chair.
I just want to clearly say something for everyone's benefit here. Your actuary projected a number. The state retained a consulting actuary to verify or reject your actuary's number. The actuary retained by the state came back and concluded that your actuary's number was reasonable. I can tell you that I've had my actuary independently look at it and came to the same conclusion. IBNR is not just simply claims that were not reported. IBNR is a whole laundry list of things, including inadequate reserves, reopened cases, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The regulations require the IBNR to be included in the accounting. And I can tell you that generally the experience is that the IBNR tends to be, over time, relatively accurate. You know, the reality is that joint insurance funds have to be operated by regulation to account, to statutory accounting rules that include IBNR. And you just to simply take a look at your cash balance. And you haven't, all this idea of rejecting the idea of IBNR or whatnot, you look at your cash balance and your cash balance tells you that the reason why you are in this predicament is because you haven't been taking into consideration the IBNR. If you had been, your cash balance would be dramatically higher. Just look at the cash. The cash will tell you the picture. So anyway, the bottom line here is that if this fund is going to survive, you need to put together a rehabilitation plan. And you need to start working on that relatively quickly because the fall is coming up very fast. Again, I'd be happy to provide some preliminary notes and everything, but you've got a lot of work to do between now and the end of the year.
Right.
okay.
Yep.
Great.
Okay, any other comments? I mean, I think that I hope that we all understand, again, the seriousness of the predicament that we're in, that it has to be taken seriously, that, we need to make plans moving forward, and that has to happen now. So, yeah, I mean, I think everyone on this meeting, they all understand. And so, we will be diligent and try to get everything on the right track. And it's going to be an expensive endeavor, and it's complicated by the increase of costs that are associated with cybersecurity and everything else that we are facing. So it's an unfortunate, monkey on our back that we have to just power through one way or the other. And some people are going to leave and some are going to stay. But at the end of the day, we have to have proper planning. And
I have one piece of good news for you.
oh, good. Thank the Lord. Otherwise, we're not going to invite you anymore.
We've been having some very good discussions with the legislature. And we are being told now that a cap relief bill,
Right.
including insurance, is going to is going to be introduced by the leadership.
It's supposed to be introduced by Thursday. It has cyber liability, fuel, and something else. I have a draft copy of it.
Yeah, well, we're getting back to people now saying that that's not enough. That it needs to also include workers' compensation because of the pension offsets. It needs to be including property. I'm aware of that draft, and we're going to get back to everyone. And our contact is really through the Senate Finance Chairman.
Hi, my name's Robin Campbell. I have a couple of questions. Risk manager for New Brunswick Board of Education. Glenn, I don't know if you can hear me. But in terms of this report and reviewing it, we received a report months earlier, that gave an estimate of specific assessments per member based on what lines of coverage they had and what years they were in. Is that now going to change based on this? And is that still how this is being assessed? Basically, for example, if we don't have workers' compensation with the fund, we won't be assessed for that line of coverage, correct?
Correct. This number will be the starting off point for that next report that needs to be generated. Correct.
Okay, and when that report is released, will that report be transparent?
Participation in the line of coverage.
Okay, and then we'll be able to see where those numbers are derived in terms of, for example, we aren't being assessed for pension because we don't have, obviously, workers' compensation with the fund.
No, nobody will be assessed for the pension. That's one of the pieces the state agreed to remove from this report.
So this report doesn't include that.
Well, the pension contribution will be removed from the deficit calculation when we do it for the state. Municipalities and school boards do not report the pensions the way a joint insurance fund or a authority do. So it's really just a footnote on their reports, but because JIFs have to report differently, it's actually included in the financial position paper. So.
Okay, so if, for example, you said a lot of this assessment is from over 10 years ago. If the member wasn't in the fund 10 years ago and they joined 7 years ago, then those prior years are not going to be assessed to that member.
Correct. It's done.
And what about members that were in the fund 10 years ago, but now they are no longer in the fund? Will they be assessed for those particular areas to balance things out?
No.
That, I believe, is in your trust agreement.
Correct. You will be assessed based on your participation in that particular year by coverage. So.
Okay. Now, and we talked about a payment plan, but that's not solidified, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, if a member decides to leave, what happens to that payment plan? Are they still allowed to participate in that payment plan by Dobie, or are they being assessed for everything when they leave?
That will all be part of the next step that I'll be sitting down with Dobie and Joe on and working out the payment structure. It's basically more going to be driven by the cash flow analysis that the actuary does. So.
And what does that mean? Meaning that what, you'll be assessing as needed, or?
Yes, it's good. Based on whether or not it's going to be a 5 or 10, or if we ask for the 15-year payment plan, it will be based upon the cash flow needs of the JIF.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, hearing none. How about the 2022 risk management plan?
Yes, Chair, I circulated to everyone the copy of the 2022 risk management plan. This was a template we received from from Mel with respects to the different coverages the JIF provides. We had not formally adopted it. I'm just asking that the members formally adopt a plan so we could file it with DOBI.
Okay.
Hey, Glenn, I had a couple of quick questions about the risk management plan.
Yes.
It's Paul, maybe the verbiage covers, I don't know, and I'm not sure if Dave can answer these questions. So, for example, it lists things that at least, and this is probably true for maybe some other members, it lists things here that maybe the individual member isn't buying through the JIF. You know, for example, it lists, in our case, it lists property, which we don't buy from the JIF. And there's also excess property listed here, which we don't have from the
Yes,
JIF.
correct, Paul. That is the risk management plan for the entire JIF, and it's based on your participation in that line of coverage. So that is the overall plan. We're in the process of putting the individual coverage manuals. I met with representatives of the MEL last week, and that was something I was going to touch on in a minute, but I'll do it now. We are in the process of uploading or coordinating the uploading of all the underwriting data into the MEL system, which would greatly improve the renewal process and get it wrapped up by, I believe, mid-August. So once we do the upload of everything we have, individual members will then be able to go into or get a sign-on for the MEL origami system and just verify and change and update any data, underwriting data for them, their particular entity. And we're also working with the MEL to do the individual coverage manuals for each member. So this is the risk management plan for the JIF. Each member will get their individual coverage manual.
Thanks.
No problem.
Glenn, Robin, again, just confirming that your school leaders E&O is under the PO, you said, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, this is Patty Fay with risk manager for MCUA. I just had a question on the risk management plan and the limits shown here as up to 30 million. Are you going to specify which each individual member actually has? Because I'm not sure, based on last year, we don't even have a risk management plan to have a clue what coverages are really out there and what MCUA really has. So
Yes, Patty. Each individual member will get their limits, and the MCUA was the member that requested the higher limit, so they do apply to the MCUA. So,
okay.
And I shot Paul an email back earlier.
Okay.
To getting the 2021 done. So.
Okay. Because with all the changes, we just really are, I need a better understanding on what coverages he has. So.
Not a problem.
Based on the 2020, we lost some coverages when we went into 2021, right? Some limits.
2021, yes.
The limit, okay.
Two, we got the upper $30 million limit. So.
The 2022 MCUA is at the 30 million. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then do you have a time frame with the 2021 so I can do a full comparison of coverage?
I probably will be able to get them out the draft mid next week. Unfortunately, I'm out this week, but I will get it around next week to everybody.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, moving on. So the auditor report. So what are we doing with this, Glenn?
Yeah, Chair, as you're aware, we did not officially appoint the auditor at the 2022 reorg meeting. I had a discussion with Ed about it. It was done via an RFP, which is no longer valid. I'd like permission to do an RFP to get approval for the auditor by the end of May meeting and get him going on that. So.
Yeah, okay. So do we need a motion to approve the solicitation or the sending of an RFP for auditor services for the 2022 year, or I should say 2021,
Well,
really?
I did it originally as an RFP, based on discussion with Ed and one of the other members. I would like to do an RFQ and then negotiate the price with them.
Okay, so you did an RFP, but how, did we get any, who submitted? Do we get additional?
We got 2 responses back, so naturally I would send out to those 2 to get them back in the loop and explain the situation and advertise to see if they
Okay. Can we please mute whoever's, thank you.
For 2021.
For 2021.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so we're looking for permission to go for an RFQ then? Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, so do we have a motion to allow for Glenn to go out for RFQ for auditing services?
I'll make the motion.
Second, Brandon. Second,
Brandon.
Brandon. Paul Clark,
Yes.
Mike Sika,
Yes.
Mike Capianco,
Yes.
Joe Zenga,
Yes.
Larry Delgado,
Yes.
Brandon Goldberg,
Yes.
Jeanette Larson.
Yes. Okay, moving on.
Did we do a motion on the risk management plan?
Oh, we did not. I apologize for that. Do we need, what about for the DOBI exam? Do we need to approve that? Or you're going to wait till you have a final version
Final.
and then do that at the next meeting, maybe?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so then, I'm sorry, Bill.
On the risk management plan.
Yeah, you almost can't disapprove the OBI.
Yeah, no. We know your strong opinion on it. I know. Okay, so the 22 risk management plan, do we have a motion to approve it?
I'll make the motion.
Motion, Joe.
I'll second then.
Who seconded, Mike?
Yes.
Yep, Joe Zanga motion.
Okay, Paul Clark,
Yes.
Mike Sika,
Yes.
Mike Capianco,
Yes.
Joe Zenga,
Yes.
Larry Delgado,
Yes.
Brandon Goldberg,
Yes.
Jeanette Larson.
Yes. Okay, then moving on to audience comments. Is there anyone from the audience that would like to make a comment? Hearing none, like to take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay,
Who second?
Harry.
Harry?
okay, and just do an all in favor on that, Bill.
Okay. All aye?
Aye.
Aye.
You have
All
it.
right, thank you.
Take your
All
vote.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.